Welcome to Bracket 4 of the Marvel Exhibition match. We're super excited for this match. This is probably the grand intro to the round one that we've been waiting for. So I'm going to just jump into it and introduce the competitors right off the bat. And the first competitor that I got on my list is Cody. Cody, tell us why you're excited to be here for this exhibition match.
Somebody said debate, and I don't turn down a debate for anything. I've already won in one league, so I might as well just branch out and win all five. I'm here to collect Infinity Stones, and there's only 5 leagues, so I guess I'm one shy, but it doesn't matter. I'm here to dominate and collect all belts because I like the one I have, and I'd like to defend them every month, just each one in another thing. So that'll be cool. And Kaleb's here, and I'm going. My goal is to make him as mad as possible that fedora goes flying off the top of his head. So that's my goal.
All right, so he already called him out. Kaleb, is that fedora going off your head today? Or are you gonna say
no? It's not going anywhere. I think this is a brutal match for me and Cody and Richard to be put in for round one. But Cody's great. He already has 2 titles. Don't shaft Brooklyn there with the jukebox dance off. So you have your 6 Infinity Stones if you win them all.
Oh, I meant Battleground. Sorry, I meant Battleground.
Yeah, fair enough. But also, Brooklyn will say fuck you, and I'll tell Brooklyn to say fuck you. But Richard's good. Cody's great. And I think I'm good. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, this is gonna be.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Kaleb. And Richard, tell us why you're excited to be here, good sir.
Oh, I love Marvel. I've judged a lot of these movie Battleground things. Excited to finally get to play for once. I know Cody's just a hell of a debater. However, I'm just hoping that his overconfidence is going to be his downfall. Just because he thinks he has the right answer doesn't mean he does. I'm going to do my best. Sometimes nerves will get to me. But hey, it's all about having fun. So let's do this.
All right. And of course, I'm not judging here by myself. I do have a little bit of a panel here with me. Andrea, explain why you're excited to judge in the Marvel Exhibition Tournament.
Are you kidding me with all that smack talk going on? This is going to be so much fun and I can't wait.
All right, Eros, tell us why you're excited, man. Why are you excited to be here?
I just want to say that it's my first time judging, and I've played games, and judging seems super cool, and I can't wait to judge those people.
All right, so we are gonna jump right in it, and the first question on the plate is: cast your perfect Fantastic Four movie. And we're gonna go to Cody first. Cody, who's in your perfect Fantastic Four movie?
Okay, perfect Fantastic Four movie. I'm basically gonna go Matt Bomer for Reed. I think he's a young actor. I'm going to preface this by saying I think Marvel does a great job of not using huge A-listers all the time. Even Robert Downey Jr. was coming back from it. Chris Evans was a failed Fantastic Four. Chris Hemsworth is a rise. They do these great characters by bringing them to the rise, so I think there's great ones there. Natalie Dorman from Game of Thrones, I think, would be a fantastic Sue Storm in this. Ron Perlman is the Thing. I think the one thing, he's got that voice, and yes, you can associate it to Hellboy, but I think he would be amazing as the Thing. Of course, a CGI that doesn't look terrible. And then I think Mr. Charisma himself, Oscar Isaac as Johnny Storm, would be brilliant. The whole thing is I don't want to introduce a main villain like Silver Surfer, like Galactus, and like Doctor Doom in the first one. I want a minor villain to get these teams to be fired up coming in from the multiverse, and I think they would do an amazing job as a Fantastic Four, bonding, showing their elements of working together as a cohesive unit before they take on the big baddies. So that's what I'm pitching.
All right. That's an interesting cast there. Let's go over to Kaleb. Kaleb, who do you got as your Fantastic Four? 90 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
Unlike Cody, I didn't go for the hipster, I'm pretty and can't play smart Reed Richards pick. I went with John Krasinski, someone who has shown that they can actually bring a lot of weight to a role, can show that they can play both comedic and serious. That's shown that they can play smart and really take over leadership qualities in that position. And who better to play off of him than Emily Blunt? We've seen that pairing work 1,000 times. It's a really great pairing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. She would be a great Invisible Woman and actually bring a lot of depth to a character that otherwise doesn't get a lot to do in the comics at all, except be a mom. I think that Jake Johnson would be a perfect Human Torch. He brings that the comedic chops. He's about that. I think he and Emily Blunt would have that great brotherly sister comedy and like playing off each other really well. And then for the Thing, I have Andre Braugher from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He plays Captain Holt. He is a CGI rock monster, but you have heard him. He voices Darkseid in Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. He has the voice to play a tough muscle character, and I think he would bring a lot of like great vocal talents to the Thing, as well as play off of Reed as like a great best friend sort of dynamic that the two have. So and then also I casted Dr. Doom because I figured we were casting our first movie. I picked Christoph Waltz as Dr. Doom because I figured Dr. Doom kind of has to be the big bad. His origin is inexplicably intertwined with the Fantastic Four, and I think Christoph Waltz would bring a great menace to Dr. Doom.
All right, interesting choices from Kaleb. Richard, 90 seconds on the clock. Hit me with your cast.
All right, I decided to go with similar routes to Cody and Kaleb, picking some upcoming people you recognize by name, not be household names. I went Richard Madden to play Reed Richards. He played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, so he has the acting chops. You have Teresa Palmer, another talented young actress who's been in things like Hacksaw Ridge, Warm Bodies. She has the comedy and the dramatics to carry that role. For Human Torch, I have Dylan O'Brien. He was great in Teen Wolf. He was great in the Maze Runner series. I have Channing Tatum playing the Thing, which I'm liking this choice because he has the look, he has the comedy, and when he's been grim, and then it's gonna be CGI for when he's the Thing and voice. And then I also, like Cody, chose Matt Dahmer, but I have him as Dr. Doom, which he's a very underrated actor. He's talented, and I think I got this one. Let's do it.
All right.
Matt Bomer, not Bad Dahmer. Matt Bomer. My bad. I'm an idiot.
Bomer. All right. Matt Bomer as Doom. Gonna be interesting. All right, so we got Cody, Kaleb, and Richard battling out to see which cast is perfect. Now, gentlemen, I'll offer you right now, do you each want to take your extension, or what are we doing, or are we good to go?
Anybody want to use it, or are we just fighting for 5 minutes?
I say we wait for the 5 minutes and throw it at the end of the 5 minutes if we need it.
We can't. You have to.
I'm down if you guys are.
Sure. I'll use my extension on this one.
This is an 8-minute fight.
So, Andrea, it's not 5, it's 8 minutes. You guys have 8 minutes on the clock.
Beautiful.
Go ahead, put them dukes up. Let's see what you got.
Okay, pause.
Cody, you can go first.
I'm going to start first. We're going to start with the Thing. Channing Tatum, that's a terrible choice. Are you flipping kidding me? He's supposed to be like the brotherly looking figure, and you're picking the hottest guy in your cast and putting him behind rocks. Terrible pick. Marvel would never do that in a billion years. Kaleb. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I understand that you want to make him be the rock figure behind the wall, but he does not sound intimidating in anything. Like, you have to have some fun with that. You have to have a good character. He's got to have the comedic elements, and I'm sorry, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's not that funny. Mine is perfect with Ron Perlman. He sounds like he's a walking rock anyways, and now we're putting him in a suit of rock. It's a perfect combination. And when he gets angry, you can honestly believe it when he smashes. Plus, in Hellboy, he's already had a rock hand. Now I'm just giving him a whole body.
Ron Perlman will never come back to do comic movies again if they're not helmed by Guillermo del Toro. He has said that. He's not a comic book person. He does not want to do that again. That already executes your thing. The thing with Channing Tatum is you're taking your A-list, your most famous person, like Cody said, putting him behind CGI. He's going to be like your human for about maybe 5 minutes, 15 minutes of this movie. And he does not have an intimidating enough voice to pull off the Thing. Andre Braugher actually does. He has the comedic one-liners all throughout Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He has the best comedic lines. And he has also played those intimidating dominating deep villainous roles already with playing Darkseid in Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, with several of the other DC and Marvel animated films. Andre Braugher is a voiceover actor primarily and is very, very good at disguising his voice as whatever he needs it to be, and he could totally pull off playing the Thing here. I also want to hit Richard right now by saying Dylan O'Brien as the Human Torch.
We're only touching one. Move
Okay,
along.
fine. Fair enough.
Okay, Channing Tatum has the freaking comedic chops, and yes, he's good looking, but a lot of people forget about the Thing. The Thing, Ben Grimm is still, as a human, is a very important character. You have to deal with the fact that he was good looking, beautiful, and then you turn to the Rock Thing, and you have CGI, and you can do the voice. It doesn't necessarily have to be his voice. They can mix around a voice. Vin Diesel was Groot. They changed his voice around too. He was Groot's a household freaking name in the MCU, and he only has 3 freaking lines. Ron Perlman is way too old. Like, they have to have a carry franchise that's going to be 10, 11 years, and Ron Perlman's not going to have the time to do it. He's going to be too old to do it. He's already exhausted for doing all these comic book movies to begin with, and you're just typecasting him.
Okay, pause. Right there. Your bigger problem is with the age. One, you can't strike down because he says he will never do one because it's not directed by Guillermo del Toro. Guess what? Just because he said that, Marvel can write a check that changes anybody's mind at any point. And this is pitching my perfect cast. So this is what I would suggest. And just like they have done with Mark Ruffalo, they've turned him into the Hulk, and now he stays the Hulk. Do you just need a voice? You can make him run his voice constantly. The problem with yours is you say, oh, he can meld to different characters. But at the start, you have to have him be the character. And your character doesn't work as the Thing, Kaleb. That's your biggest problem. He's a voiceover actor. I want the guy to actually have real great acting chops to be put in it. And I don't think you picked the right point. I think you picked a great character work, maybe later down the line, but for that first movie. And can I tag both of you right now? You're going to waste Dr. Doom again in your first movie. Again.
Nope. We're only focusing on one character. You said focus on one character. Okay. I will make one last rebuttal for my thing. Andre Braugher has the actual dramatic comedy and real physical acting chops. He has done TV, he has done film, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine is where he gets the most chance to shine, so which is why I keep bringing it up. But he has some of the most emotional moments in the show, comedically and drama-wise, so he could pull that off. And they make many references in the show as to he was the most attractive person on the Force and still is one of the most attractive people on the Force, and that is why he could totally pull off being the beautiful Thing for the first bit as Ben Grimm. I want to switch gears to Human Torch real quick and say, Dylan, fucking Brian.
We have to give Richard a chance.
All right, he has to get his rebuttal. Schwartz, your last rebuttal, I don't think.
Channing Tatum has done great work when it comes to for the comedy 21 Jump Street, for dramatic White House Down. Those are 2 great movies. He can definitely pull it off as the Thing.
You know White House Down great?
White House Down is amazing.
It's the lesser version of Olympus Has Fallen. Anyway,
White House Down is way better than Olympus Has Fallen. And like I said,
you're high.
First of all, Kaleb, you literally like I'm going to your choice makes no sense. Like your choice literally makes no sense.
Comeback. Great comeback.
That's all I have to say. Okay, we can switch it over.
Okay, I'll go ahead and just say Dylan O'Brien as your Human Torch, and then Teresa Palmer as your Invisible Woman is about a 20 to 30 year age difference. What are you talking about by casting those two as brother and sister?
They're only 3 years apart. First of all,
Teresa Palmer's like 30 something, dude. Dylan O'Brien is like 18. What are you talking about?
Dylan O'Brien is 27. Or 20. He's in his mid-20s.
Wow, he looks way too young to be 27. But what I'm saying is, even if IMDb says they're close in age, they don't look it, and that's what matters. They are, and also 2 words for Teresa Palmer: bedtime stories. You want to put the bratty daughter from bedtime stories as your Invisible Woman? I don't buy it, not one bit.
Okay, so let me strike this right now. So yeah, your Human Torch and Invisible Woman make no sense at all. I'm just gonna throw that. Emily Blunt is always the classic throw in, because that if Marvel wanted Emily Blunt, Marvel would have gotten Emily Blunt by now, and she should have played Captain Marvel if that's what they were going to do with an A-list. She's one of the best actors working today. They could have got anybody, and they haven't got her. You're picking the popular 2 choices at the top of John Krasinski. You say that he showed so much depth as an actor. Are you flipping kidding me? He's Jim from The Office and the guy from Quiet Place. He directed one great movie, and he had one great dramatic acting performance. And don't talk about the Amazon Netflix series. I don't care about it. That does not show you a range to take on Reed Richards, the scientist behind it, not the guy that pranked Dwight in The Office. You're just picking it because you're picking 2 actual husband and wife combos, and that's the popular thing because apparently you just watched The Quiet Place. That's the problem with your choice.
Just because it's the popular pick doesn't make it the incorrect pick.
It makes 100% incorrect.
John Krasinski, in A Quiet Place, shows that he can handle a leadership role, that he can handle
thought we're on the
a
Human Torch.
position.
We're
We're
all-
working way back. I just want to make one rebuttal for Mr. Fantastic, and then you can have the floor.
Okay.
With that pairing of Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic has to be able to be smart, to be able to handle the jargon, has to be able to command that leading role. Matt Bomer cannot do that, but John Krasinski has proven he can lead a family unit extremely well. And Emily Blunt, yes, she is one of the best working actresses today. Marvel has talked about casting her as 3 different things, but those roles weren't right for her. This would be. She could actually bring something completely new to a character that doesn't ever get to do anything in the comics. And by pairing her with John Krasinski, they just work together. It's the same thing as putting Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling
1 minute.
together. They just work. They just work.
Go.
All right, I'm just gonna go to Caleb's Human Torch. Jake Johnson is too goofy looking to even be Human Torch. Human Torch has to be a good looking playboy. He's just way too good looking. He was a great voice in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because it's animation, but look-wise he doesn't have it. I mean, Emily Blunt, that's a weird pairing. Just Emily Blunt and Jake Johnson. Emily Blunt, yeah, she's a great actress, but she's just yeah. And for me, Teresa Palmer, you're saying that she doesn't have the right thing because she's been in bad movies. A lot of these people in the MCU have been in bad movies, but they relish in MCU given the opportunity. And Teresa Palmer has done great work in Hacksaw Ridge. She's done great work in Warm Bodies, whether you like that movie or not. Me personally, I thought she did a great job. And for
you guys are facing.
Sorry, no, go on, Cody. I'll let you finish your thought.
Hey, we're running out of time anyway, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, you guys have cast Doctor Doom, which is the biggest problem of your whole movie because you have a villain. It's
Time. All right, guys. This was a tough one. All right. So, we heard the debate right now, so we're going to go ahead and jump to Kaleb. Kaleb, tell me why your Fantastic Four, tell me and the judges why your Fantastic Forecast is the perfect Fantastic Forecast with your 60-second close.
Okay, when it comes down to it, my cast is the right cast. It's the best blend of all the things that you need the Fantastic Four to be. You need Mr. Fantastic to be smart, to be the leader of a family unit. John Krasinski has proven that he could do that, and Emily Blunt proves that she works really well in that dynamic with him. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Jake Johnson is goofy, but it's great to have a different Human Torch that doesn't conform to male beauty standards. Like Jake Johnson in Tag shows he has the charisma and the charm to pull off the Human Torch, and that's all you really need. And Andre Braugher, I've gone on at length and why he'd be a great thing. The reason why Matt Bomer doesn't work in either of your roles, Matt Bomer is just not a smart actor. He's a pretty face. He just does not work in that role. Natalie Dormer does not have any chemistry with him. Oscar Isaac is miscast. He should be your Mr. Fantastic, not your Human Torch. Ron Perlman will never do a comic movie again. O'Brien's too young. Palmer doesn't work. Tatum is wasted. And Richard Madden, why are we even wanting to put him in anything? Game of Thrones is the only good thing he's ever done. He will never work anything great ever again after that. And it comes down to what 4 are going to have the best chemistry and work the best. It's clearly my 4. The others are just miscast and chemistry put together in a way that wouldn't make for an interesting Fantastic Four film. That's just, and plus, the Doctor Doom battle, it doesn't really matter, but Christoph Waltz is clearly the better pick.
How much time does he get?
I talked for like 30 seconds. I just talk fast.
All right. Kaleb gave his. Richard, 60 seconds on the board. Tell us why your cast is better than their cast.
Richard Madden is great actor. He killed in Game of Thrones. The Red Wedding, you felt it. Teresa Palmer, given the opportunity, she can excel. Warm Bodies, Hacksaw Ridge, she has the acting chops. Dylan O'Brien also has the acting chops. He has the humor. He has the comedy that can riff between Teresa Palmer. Channing Tatum, just like Vin Diesel, you would not think him playing an CGI character, but they would work perfectly. He has the humor. He has the dramatic chops for both Ben Grimm and The Thing. Matt Bomer is a cunning, underrated actor. He is way more to the villain. Kaleb, his choices, he just picked places in IMDb. And again, for Cody's picks, Matt Bomer, he's too old to play Reed Richards. Ron Perlman's too old. Natalie Dormer, she does the similar roles in all actors. She has no depth. What I've seen. And if you're not casting Doctor Doom, what are you doing for your movie? There's having tea. That's it.
All right, having tea. Closing that out. Cody, tell us why your cast is perfect against their cast.
So basically, what the cast breaks down, they're all Hollywood actors, but the problem with everybody's facing that they don't have chemistry, they don't work on it. Well, guess what? The Avengers teamed up with so many people, and over time they never worked together before, and they worked perfectly. And there a lot of them were no names. So that's what I want to kind of do. Actors that haven't got the spotlight, but put them under the Marvel umbrella, and they're actually going to shine. Natalie Dorman, yes, she's played the same character. She hasn't been given the same opportunities. Give her a great script. Give her a character that she can empower and be a strong female in that thing. Awesome. Matt Bomber, same way. Took Shane Black's script and dominated with it with Nice Guys. That's actually a possibility. Oscar Isaac, you want that fun, charismatic guy in the middle, and he'd be a perfect. Ron Pullman, I'm looking for him to be a voice. I want this team to start out small and build to an actual Fantastic Four, which when you get to the third movie, they're hitting on all cylinders. I don't want them hitting on all cylinders and taking out the best villain that they have, Doctor Doom, at that point. If you do that, you're wasting Doctor Doom in general. You've already wasted him. You've already wasted Silver Surfer. You want to build to a smaller character. That's the fun of Fantastic Four. They're a build-up team that doesn't know how to use their powers, and they get to use them. And under Kevin Feige, they're actually going to have that ability and that power and show the strength. I want to use a very minor character at the beginning of the villain just to show that team as the struggles they go through and actually tell the perfect origin story, not this bullcrap that you get to see all the time. And your characters are just, you're a miscast. You're picking Hollywood's A-list of Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt should have already been there. She couldn't pull Mary Poppins. She can't pull Sue Storm.
All right. Now it's the proper time. I'm going to go to Andrea first. Andrea, make some sense of this for me. Who do you think cast the perfect Fantastic Four movie?
Well, this is actually tough, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give my point to Cody because he was able to counter all the arguments against his cast, whereas for example in Richard's case, he wasn't able to really counter the point about putting such a famous actor, Channing Tatum, behind CGI. So I'm gonna have to give my point to Cody on this one.
All right, heading over to Euros. Euros, tell me, make some sense of this. Who do you got?
I don't want to be mean, but my point totally goes to Cody without a chance to giving it to anyone else. I'm sorry, you guys fight it good and everything, but Cody, he kept destroying every argument. Everything that came after him, he destroyed it, and he destroyed every single casting choice by the other ones. When he stated the fact with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, he said, you just like them and want them in the movie because they did a Quiet Place and it seemed so good. They seem so good in it. I think that's totally true because it's a popular hot pick that everyone wants because of one film, but we didn't explore that much. And I think Cody really explained well on that point. As far as Kaleb really tried. He came back many times on arguments with the Marvel paycheck and everything. I mean, he did really good, but my point definitely goes to Cody.
Okay, all right. Cody does get the point. So what we'll do is we'll move on to question 2. And question 2, who would you want to be the big villain of the next phase of the MCU? And we're going to go ahead and go over to Kaleb first. Kaleb, you have 90 seconds on the clock. Who do you got as your next big villain for the MCU?
Look, for the next MCU big bad, I don't want to go cosmic. We already just spent 3 phases of cosmic. I really don't want to fucking go cosmic again. I want to go with someone who is going to be both physically intimidating and mentally intimidating and actually warrant the entire MCU having to go up against him, and I'm picking the Mandarin. You're going to go, wait, didn't we see the Mandarin in Iron Man 3? No. The Mandarin is someone that was teased in All Hail the King as actually existing. Trevor Slattery and everything. I want to see the real Mandarin with the 10 rings, the actual physical power that he comes with these 10 rings and is able to actually control a giant dragon named Fing Fang Boom. It is the most intimidating third act fight you could ever have. He warrants the entire MCU because it's going to take a Hulk. It's going to take a Thor. It's going to take a Captain Marvel to take on someone with that kind of power. I don't need to see someone who can't physically stand up to the Hulk or can't physically stand up to any of the MCU characters when they come together. And I don't want to go back to space. The Mandarin is actually something already kind of pre-established. I'd love to see the backgrounds and things that have been happening in the MCU for the last 3 phases that we just haven't seen yet and see that come to light and see a a world post Tony Stark where the Mandarin gets to step into the limelight and take over a MCU that is now defenseless without Tony Stark, who he has technically lost to once already. So yeah, I'm going Mandarin.
All right, Kaleb went Mandarin. Richard, who do you got? 90 seconds on the board.
I have chose Galactus, the Conqueror of Worlds, to be the big bad in the next MCU. Kaleb says we went cosmic. We only went cosmic for about 3 or 4 movies. The majority of it was on Earth. I want to explore the other planets, other worlds at the MCU that takes place, because the world exists outside of planet Earth. And what Galactus does is not only shine on the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, Adam Warlock, which will be introduced, most likely in this sets of phases. We have Thanos. What's going to be harder to defeat for the final big bad, which is Galactus, the little destroyer of worlds? And I'll go on more as I fight it out.
All right, Richard's got Galactus. Caleb's got the Mandarin. Cody, who do you got?
So we said phase. This isn't the entire phase. This isn't 4 phases. This is the next phase. And I want Victor Von Doom. Victor Von Doom has not been done right in the comics, in the comic book movies so far. They did a piss poor job in Fantastic Four, the first one, and he was easily defeated. And then Four Stick, which most people don't talk about, which you're right to, he was wasted in 10 minutes. This dude is powerful beyond measures. He can take out so many forces, and I want him to be the end all before we get to the biggest. So, like, Galactus would be great for the overall arc. I don't want him gone so fast. Mandarin. Sorry, buddy. If we would have done Mandarin, if MCU wanted to do Mandarin, they would have done it in Iron Man 3. The problem is they didn't. They used it, they wasted it, and they're not going to go back to it because they couldn't get people on the marketing material because they've already pissed them off. They're not going to be able to do that right, and that's the problem. The main problem is Victor Von Doom is perfect. We just bought Fox. It's time to bring him in, and it's time to do him right with so much fury and so much justice because he's that suave businessman. But when he puts on the Doom, it is terrifying. It is menacing. If you cast him right and put him through these movies, it would be beautiful to see him fight Fantastic Four, meet Spider-Man, meets Captain America. That's what you want to see.
All right. So we have the Mandarin, Galactus, and Victor Von Doom. This is going to be an interesting fight, guys. Okay, I don't know. Caleb, do you have a question or?
No, this is me just claiming that I'm going to go first.
Oh, okay, got you. All right, so 5 minutes on the clock as soon as someone speaks.
Okay, so I'm going to start right now. Fucking Galactus? Really? We're going to go right back to the Thanos well? Dude, we have gotten literally almost all of Phase 3 was space. Ragnarok, Guardians 1 and 2, Infinity War, Endgame. We go to space all the time in Phases 2 and 3. And Galactus is not a character. He is a plot device. There is nothing that I care about in Galactus's character. The Silver Surfer is the more interesting part, and I would much rather see Galactus in maybe one movie down the line, but I don't need to see him as the next big bad. Maybe Phase 6, because we already just got Thanos. 1 sec, I just died. Okay, back again. Doctor Doom. No, I want to hit Doctor Doom real quick. Doctor Doom is not a phase villain. He can't take on the entire force of the MCU. If you did an Endgame style shot of everyone in the MCU going up against Doctor Doom, it's over in 5 minutes. Can he stand up to a Spider-Man? Sure. A Fantastic Four? Sure. Is he cool to be a background Vulture-like character in the background doing other things? Sure. I don't want him dead in one movie, but I don't want him to be the big bad that you have the Hulk punch in the face after one movie. It's over then.
Okay, I'm really over this because that's the problem. You guys are arguing this wrong. He said the next phase. We've had 4 phases.
No, the question was the next big bad. It wasn't the next
big
phase.
bad. You missed the question. That's on you, buddy.
You did the question wrong. It's the next big bad.
Okay, listen. That's what I'm saying. The next big bad. Thanos was shown up in Phase 1 and finished in Phase 3. I'm talking the next big bad of
That's
the
not
phase.
the question.
He was also in Phase 2.
That's not the question, though. It's not the next phase. It's the next big bad. You're pitching Doctor Doom for 3 phases of the entire MCU coming to punch him in the face. It's over in 5 minutes.
Then they needed to word that for the entire thing. They're saying the next phase. There are 3 phases. They break down by phase.
We'll time real quick. So the question is, who would you want to be the next big villain of the next phase of the
Phase.
MCU?
The
Okay,
next
fine.
phase,
Then
phase
arguments,
4.
the semantic argument aside,
Okay,
Doctor Doom
it's
cannot
my
take on
turn.
the entire MCU.
It's my turn.
Go.
He doesn't have to take on the entire MCU. He takes on the new properties of Fox. That's the brilliant bring-in. You're literally saying the Mandarin, and the problem is they've wasted the Mandarin. So you're saying, hey, guess what? We screwed up once. We're going to bring back the actual Mandarin. No one wants to see that. No one will watch it, and that'll be a disappointment. He's a one-act villain. He's a one-act villain because guess what? We only saw him in one movie, and he never showed back up. Galactus is a giant fart cloud, and if we want Galactus, you put him against the X-Men. That's it. You do not put him against the entire MCU because we already had Ego the Living Planet that tried to do the whole planet thing. It's not cool. It's a big mesh. It doesn't work.
What you just said about Galactus is what exactly applies to Doctor Doom. Now, here's the thing with the Mandarin. The Mandarin, there is a huge wave of people that want that Marvel one shot to be paid off.
I'm going to talk real quick.
Okay, go for it.
The Mandarin, the best part about the Mandarin was his against Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr.'s dead. Sorry, Iron Man's dead. There's nothing, and they already did Iron Man. If you want to do the Mandarin again, the fact that Iron Man 3, no matter, some people loved it, some people hate it. If you try to say, oh, that wasn't really the Mandarin, then you just really took out the big twist, at least they attempted to do. That's the problem with the Mandarin. And with Doctor Doom, I do agree he should be a big bad, but just not right now. Let Doctor Doom be established in more of the movies, and then have him be the big bad. And just not right now. Right now, no, he should be. He needs to be established in the movies, in the MCU, before he eventually becomes the big bad.
Thank you.
Marvel has already come back and said that there is a real Mandarin out there. The All Hail the King one-shot has said that the real Mandarin exists and that Iron Man 3 is a part of setting up who that Mandarin was. There's a real Mandarin out there. The real Tennings are out there, and they would be furious at what they saw in Iron Man 3. I want to see the fallout of this background clandestine organization who has been pissed for 2 phases so far of someone running around beating the Mandarin, and when they come back and do the Mandarin, you get to see the real powerful Mandarin, the actual 10 rings, the actual power that comes with it that could actually warrant the entire MCU fighting him. Whereas Doctor Doom can only really face the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, but not the entire MCU.
Galactus is literally one of the few people out of your...
Whoa, you just talked. Back off. My whole thing with the Doctor Doom, you're 100% right. I don't want to. You wanted to put him in the first Fantastic Four movie. I want him to show up and randomly take power, and then everybody has to battle him. I don't need him to be the next baddie against everything. The Avengers are not what the Avengers were before. We are in a new phase. We're in a new multiverse, and Doctor Doom to show up would be fantastic. The Mandarin has already been said, and you can keep pulling what the MCU has said before. They also said Captain Britain was going to be could have been an Endgame. They didn't happen. You mentioned Emily Blunt should have been cast a lot of different things. Didn't take it. Those don't mean anything. Galactus is one of those baddies that you put in an X-Men movie. You put in a one-off because guess what? It doesn't show the entertainment of him showing up and battling everybody. That's your biggest problem with Galactus. Doom is that businessman that works with the new properties of Fox and battles.
Time.
I think it's time.
All right. So we're going to go to the closing arguments. Richard, 60 seconds on the clock. Why should Galactus be the next big villain of the next phase?
Galactus should be the villain in the next phase because he is the next giant obstacle that these people can come together to defeat. Dr. Doom would be a great villain. I agree for a big bad, but just not now. Have him be established. Have Galactus be established first, because one of the main things about Dr. Doom was him trying to harness Galactus's power. Also, Galactus in itself is a tragic villain. He wasn't meant to destroy worlds, but the nature he survived the Big Bang forces him to absorb other planets. Has already been done. If you use the Mandarin again, that basically means Iron Man 3 was all for nothing. At least they attempted to do something different. If you establish the Mandarin, it just takes away that whole plot twist that they did. Galactus is one of the few things that all Avengers, even Captain Marvel, would have trouble with because he is so powerful, and that would be a reason why the Guardians, Captain Marvel, the Avengers have to come together before the Earth is destroyed. And that's it. I'm conceding the rest of my time.
All right, Cody. Victor Von Doom. Why do we got him?
Okay. Thank you so much, Richard, because you literally said the villain that I want to introduce can harness your villain. That seems really great. I want to see that in a bunch of movies, that the guy that I'm picking can actually hold him. And I want him introduced. I want him slowly because the MCU pumps a lot of movies out in a phase, and I want him to be the final standoff against the new properties brought over by Fox. The problem with the Mandarin, I thought that would have been great, but that they can't go backtracking now. I don't care what they did in Iron Man 3. The general movie public was like, wasn't that the same thing in Iron Man 3? Where's Ben Kingsley? I don't know what's going on. Yes, I think they should have done it right, but they didn't. They failed that opportunity, and they're not going to be able to recover from that. That's the main problem with it. It doesn't seem to make sense to bring it. Victor Von Doom pairs against the villains, the new ones that we are getting. We are getting Fantastic Four. We have Spider-Man. We have the X-Men. That is such a sweet story that you get to see Victor Von Doom dominate, because he's not the weak thing that people see in Fantastic Four. He's actually a dominant force that you actually fear and has the powers to brutalize people. But guess what? You can't do that because they've wasted him too many times, but now Kevin Feige has him. And Kevin Feige we trust, and we know that he will do a great thing. You just can't do the Mandarin because that's overused and overplayed. Galactus is a giant space cloud that didn't really work, and my villain harnesses him. So you need me to use him. And no, like I don't, that's not a big bad, that's just a big plot device where Kaleb said. I actually agree with that point. So I'll be done.
All right, Kaleb, Mandarin. Close us out.
We have never actually met the fucking Mandarin in a movie yet. We had Iron Man 3, which is technically not even canon in most ways. They don't borrow much of anything from Iron Man 3 going forward. This would be a way to say, hey, the Iron Man 3 is actually very important because it sets up future things. If Thor can survive Thor the Dark World and Thor Ragnarok can survive not using Jane Foster, we can get around the fact that we have a new Mandarin coming up. We can recast people if we have a new Hulk. The Mandarin would actually be really cool because he's a better version of your Doctor Doom character. He is a businessman as well. He uses 10 rings. He's actually physically and mentally imposing. Doctor Doom can't punch anyone, let alone buy anything. Doctor Doom is Norman Osborn without the Green Goblin. Doctor Doom is not a physically imposing villain. He can't fight Spider-Man, let alone the Avengers. He cannot take on the full force of the MCU. Galactus is a plot device. He doesn't matter to the overall story. He is point A to get to point B. He's a less interesting Thanos, whereas Mandarin is actually someone that would make one-shots more, would establish one-shots as more as canon, that would actually make the history of the MCU even more prevalent, that would make us look at the MCU in a totally new way, like the way Endgame did, and it would actually bring a actual physically and mentally imposing threat, which Doctor Doom does not bring to the table, nor does Galactus. Doctor Doom brings the mental part, and Galactus brings somewhat of a physical part, but Mandarin brings both. He's the best of both worlds, of both your villains, and that is why he should be the next big bad, because the Avengers actually are a force that would warrant Mandarin to fight them and for them to go at it, because he actually warrants a big team up, whereas Doctor Doom does not. He warrants Spider-Man, maybe Fantastic Four at best, and Galactus is boring. He's been a fart cloud. Like Cody said, it does not matter. I don't want to see him again. Goodbye.
All right. Whew. Oh, God. All right, help us all. Here's Mandarin, Galactus, or Victor Doom. Who you got in this round?
Yeah, this one was really way more difficult than the first one to me. I think that again it was still a fight between mostly Kaleb and Kobe again. Especially on the fact that they kept really hitting each other. I don't think Richard takes a lot of his time. He should maybe be more present, like talk more and just interrupt them, maybe just explain this point more. But like I think I'm gonna have to go with Kaleb on this one, because Kaleb really to me he had the worst pick out of the three. I think he had the most difficult one, but he explained it better than any of them. I mean, he started with he started lower, but he explored that way to give a superior answer that I did not see coming at all. Like I was totally I totally didn't believe he'd win with the Mandarin, but to me, his arguments were really, really more powerful than both competitors, and he takes my vote.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So it came down to Cody and Kaleb for me as well, and it came down to the closing argument that Kaleb made, basically saying that that the Mandarin was the best of both Galactus and Victor Von Doom, giving something for the Avengers to have to assemble to come and fight for an actual phase. I also am going to give my point to Kaleb that round. So Kaleb got that point. We're going to jump over to question 3. Question 3 is best Marvel TV show. And we're going to go ahead and start with Richard first. Richard, 90 seconds on the clock. What is the best Marvel TV show?
My choice for the best Marvel TV show is Spider-Man the Animated Series. It ran from 1994 to 1998, had 5 seasons, told the epic tale of Peter Parker, his journey as Spider-Man. My TV show had great story for Peter. It had great episodes. It had probably the best crossovers in TV shows. Also, was very entertaining throughout, beginning to end. Hardly any filler episodes, if there were any. You had some great villains: Venom, Raven the Manhunter, the Sinister Six, Kingpin. Also introduced other great superheroes for epic crossovers. So that is my choice for the best Marvel TV show, Spider-Man the Animated Series.
All right, we got Spider-Man the Animated Series. Cody, best Marvel TV show.
I was really hurt when I had to go second on this question because I thought the clear choice would be picked. But then somebody picked my broke down cousin, Spider-Man the Animated Series. I'm going with the best one. It's called X-Men the Animated Series. This show took a character, Jubilee. Anybody know her? Yeah, most of you don't. But guess what? Fantastic in this flippin' series. This is actually the best version of the X-Men that we have ever received or ever gotten. Because guess what? It's actually an X-Men movie. It doesn't focus on Logan or Xavier or Storm. It focuses on the team. And you want to talk about filler episodes? Please, 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 please. Those high school drama scenes from Spider-Man the Animated Series were great and all. But guess what? Your best crossover scenes were enhanced by my show. And the other person, I won't say much, but ran 2 seasons. So, no, doesn't work for me, buddy. So yeah, X-Men the Animated Series with the theme just alone is so epic, and it uses all the cast that Marvel Fox hasn't been able to use to perfection. It's used Rogue in an actual way instead of I just touched you and you melted. No, she's actually a badass in this show. You get Storm, that's actually badass. Doesn't say, you know what happens to a toad that gets struck by lightning? Same thing that happens to everything. Sorry, Halle Berry, not the greatest form. This is a great team up. They work together. Wolverine is a character in a team. They don't treat Scott Summers like a craphead. He's actually a great cast. The entire thing is a team-up movie, and it's beautiful.
Time. All right. So we have animated series so far. Spider-Man from the 90s. X-Men from the 90s. Kaleb, where are you taking us with this Marvel TV series?
Unlike my fellow competitors, I'm not going to nostalgia porn you into a win here. There's the issue with X-Men is that you only remember the theme, and there's not much else that's very memorable. Spider-Man is all filler. There's like 1 or 2 good arcs, maybe Venom, maybe Goblin. The best Marvel TV show, and if you want to use length as an argument against me, the reason why I got shut down is because Disney changed their entire television programming, and the show got cut too short. Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes was the blueprint for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you watch it straight up, the entire show, the entire first season, the first 5 episodes is setting up the team coming together and how they form, introducing you to each character. Going on, they adapt some of the best Avengers storylines perfectly with a phenomenal voice cast, with Iron Man and Captain America taking a forefront role as they normally do. The Hulk gets treated like a real monster, like they don't ever really capture the Hulk's character in film or anything else, or in any of his TV shows. When it comes through the rest of the show, second season adapts Secret Invasion, The Siege of Asgard, some of the best comic book storylines of all time that enhance the depth of these characters. It makes Black Panther a very like 3-dimensional character. It brings in characters that the MCU would later borrow the material of this show to make their MCU characters better. And yes, it ran 2 seasons, but guess what? They were 2 of the best seasons of Marvel television of all time because of the character interactions, the character storylines, and how this team comes together and the trials and tribulations they go through over the course of these 2 phenomenal seasons. Again, Spider-Man, it's a high school drama with a lot of boring episodes, and the best episodes, like Cody said, are the crossovers where they connect to the Avengers and the X-Men and Iron Man. His episodes on his own are all high school bullshit, and X-Men is forgettable outside that theme, and it's a show about a bunch of characters I'd never actually care about unless their name is Jubilee or Logan.
Time.
Go for
I'm
it, Cody.
going. You might as well.
Your middle finger's up.
Okay.
I see you. Go for it.
All right. So this is all great because I like all 3 of these series, and I'm excited that you guys all picked these series as the battle contenders. So 5 minutes on the board, guys. Tell us why your series is the best Marvel TV series.
Okay. So he's going to use nostalgia porn. Sorry, Mr. 98, you weren't alive enough to see this show in its heyday. This show was actually made for adults and kids. So was Spider-Man. The problem with Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it was canceled too soon. It doesn't even have a finished product. Yes, it has great storyline, but guess what? The Marvel Cinematic Universe came and they're like, you know what? We don't need this kid show because we have it on the big screen and we'll tell the stories better on live action than in these shows. Yes, you have great performances, just like all these things do. But your biggest problem with yours is it doesn't run that hard and it's very not together. It doesn't have an ending. It doesn't finish. Animated series for Spider-Man, great. It's got a great theme too. But the problem is it's more of a high school drama. I'm 100% with you. And the best episodes are when my show shows up because it actually shows a team of the X-Men, of the battle between human and right, the race war that Stan Lee has actually proven that this movie is about. They actually do a fantastic job of showing that and the struggles that these characters feel outcast for. And you feel that, and it's got human elements throughout and adult elements.
All right,
Go
just
ahead,
going to
go ahead because you haven't talked yet.
All right, going to look, X-Men the Animated Series. I was tossing between the two, Spider-Man, X-Men. Although I love X-Men, I love Spider-Man. The problem with the X-Men is when the episodes they did were great, were absolutely great. However, there were a lot of episodes, a lot of filler episodes, a lot of times where they misused their villains. They misused Sinister a lot. They misused the Juggernaut. They had an episode where we're talking about when Juggernaut lost his powers. That was such a boring episode. Like, I honestly don't, like, halfway through your show season, it fell flat. Like, I honestly do not even remember how X-Men ended. Spider-Man was great through and through. The confrontations with Venom were amazing. When Spider-Man first got the Venom suit was a great episodic mark. When Spider-Man was in the process of turning into the Man-Spider was great episodes. They concentrated arcs. They had a lot of part 1, part 2, part 3, but they focused on the character. And you're talking about Caleb saying that mine didn't have anything great with, like, a couple of episodes. We had the Secret Wars, which yes includes one X-Men character, included Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, but that was an epic battle. It was on the Spider-Man TV show. You also had the last series crossovers before the show ended with the Spider-Man Spider-Verse. All right, I'll let you guys talk.
About 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to jump back in here and say, by the way, you really haven't watched Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes if you say that the MCU is the reason why it got canceled. If the MCU took everything from Earth's Mightiest Heroes because it's great, and you're saying Season 2 ended on a cliffhanger, you ended at Season 1, which set up Secret Invasion. Season 2 ends perfectly. It ends with the Avengers rebuilding from Secret Invasion and coming back stronger. It left room for a possible Season 3, but everything was wrapped up. The problem with X-Men as a show is exactly what Richard said. It has like 7 episodes that are the exact same episode because Stan Lee wrote the X-Men to be one thing, an allegory, and they hit you over the head with the allegory for 7 seasons, baby. It's 7 seasons if I don't give a fuck. And Spider-Man, hold on, I'm not done.
Can you speed it up instead of saying stupid things?
I will. Why don't you shut up so I can? Now with Richard, you just said the best part of your show is Secret Wars. Secret Wars is about all the better shows coming together.
I did not say it was the best part. I'm saying one of the best crossovers involves Secret Wars.
I'm over
Secret Wars is only good because of everyone else, and both your shows are extremely dependent on each other's crossovers. The best episodes are when your two shows come together. That's the best version. Mine is better independently of yours.
I'm going to help you out right now. Caleb's never seen the X-Men animated series.
I grew up on Spider-Man and X-Men.
Can you stop? He basically has never seen it because he was showing, it's just a theme, and there's these characters. No, this character, literally, Magneto and Xavier are at the top of the powers. Beast is actually a character in the X-Men, and throughout this story, and has heart. You guys say there's filler episodes. Guess what? Every season has filler episodes. That's the point of shows. You have to build before you can execute. It can't be boom, boom, boom the entire time. And you keep saying the MCU didn't ruin your show. It honestly did. That's what they literally came out and said because they launched Avengers Assemble off of it, basically.
1 minute.
They already had that. The animated series is fine and all, but it's a high school dance. No, Richard's going next because you talked enough.
All right. Well, Caleb's for Avengers. The problem with your choice, Caleb, is there's been so many Avengers TV show. I don't even know which one's which. There's been so many Avengers TV shows that I can't tell which one to tell from the part. There's nothing distinction from the Avengers Assemble. Spider-Man, you guys keep saying it's a high school thing. It doesn't. There is no hardly any high school drama. It's called drama in real life. Sometimes drama in real life is like high school. Of course, Peter Parker's an adult. He's not in high school. And you're talking about, like, his character arc. For the fact that, the first time where he got the Venom suit, the first time he was afraid turning the Spider-Man, the confrontations, his confliction with him and Uncle Ben. Even though Uncle Ben died, he still has massive confliction, and Uncle Ben plays a major part in this TV show, which gives him the dramatic
Time.
motion.
All right. 5 minutes is up. Let's go over to Cody. 60 seconds. X-Men, 90s, animated series. Why is it the best?
People say it's an allegory just because of race, but that's literally one of the struggles because everybody can feel wanted from being a mutant, and that's the whole point of it. They do great storylines like Dark Phoenix. They have Cyclops. They have Galactus. They bring all these characters in. Richard does a great job of playing off mine. Secret Wars literally features the X-Men in it, and it's not done to its right because it should have just happened on the X-Men. The X-Men it finishes perfect. It's a perfect season that they run together. They bring characters that people don't really know about and actually shine bright on them, and that's insane. Jubilee, Gambit, these characters that have not been well thought out are perfectly put, and they all have their own screen time and share the time. Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I'm with Richard. There's a lot of Marvel ones out there, and this one may be the better one. But again, it fits. It doesn't finish the mark. It leaves you with a cliffhanger that doesn't let you continue on, and that's your biggest problem. High School. I was Spider-Man. You say that they ruined a lot of my villains? Are you kidding me? Hobgoblin, Doc Ock. It was not really fleshed out through those things. Rhino. Those are classic villains, but it wasn't thought out that well. That's why the show didn't run as long as it honestly could have. The theme is great. The Mary Jane stuff gets very boring after a while. They keep battling back and forth and then love, and that's fine because that's Spider-Man, but it doesn't show the greatness of the character because there's a lot of lulls in that show. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it's great, but it literally canceled because of the MCU. They don't flesh out those characters enough throughout it. They could have continued on for 5, 6 seasons, but 2 seasons, not enough time to grant it the best of all time. Come on.
All right, Kaleb. Avengers, Earth Mightiest Heroes. Who do you got?
Oh, yeah, Richard. By the way, are you talking about the Spider-Man show where he dates Gwen Stacy and fights Green Goblin? Or the one where he dates Gwen Stacy and fights Green Goblin? Or the one where he dates Mary Jane and fights Green Goblin? Because all you have is Spider-Man being redone over and over and over. There's nothing special about your Spider-Man compared to other Spider-Mans, except for the crossovers with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Iron Man. And Cody, he's exactly right. Your show butchers not just characters, actual storylines. I have seen it. I grew up on both shows. I remember when they just completely shat all over Days of Future Past. The best version of Days of Future Past is the one in the movie because the TV show didn't know how to do it. The TV show did not know how to handle Sinister. The show did not know how to handle Age of Apocalypse. The show did not know how to handle Cyclops, Logan. It was a show about all these other people that I don't care about because I don't get any time to breathe with any one of them if their name's not Jubilee. The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes ends in a satisfying way with the team coming together after the greatest fight they ever had with the Siege of Apocalypse and the Secret Invasion. It's a story about all these great heroes who come together under unlikely circumstances, that come together in the world's greatest time of need, and it shows these character dynamics. It paints Captain America as a real man at a time. It is the basis in which the MCU is built from here on out. Sure, the MCU does it, but they do it better.
All right, Richard, your last up. Let's close this out. Spider-Man 90s. Why is it the best Marvel TV show?
Spider-Man the Animated Series is the best TV show because it is the most consistent. It has the best episodes, the best seasons, the most consistent episodes that Spider-Man has had. You saying that the best episodes were crossovers, that is not necessarily true, but could also be true. You had the episodes with Venom, turning into the Man-Spider, his deal with the loss of Mary Jane, Spy Wars. And you're saying the problem with X-Men is that when their episodes were about the Phoenix, those are awesome, but there were a lot of filler episodes. They mishandled Sinister, like I said, Juggernaut, Magneto quite a few times. They've done useless backstories. Avengers Assemble, there is just way too many Avengers movies. I've never even seen your TV show, and I was around. I was a 90s kid. My show is the best because it was the reason why Blade was so successful. Daredevil, Kingpin could be successful because they did it really well on my show. We only had one X-Men in the Spy Wars. That was Storm. And the X-Men crossover, it was better on my show. Like, my show had the better villains. It was the reason why.
All right. I am going to be the first judge up. Make it short and sweet on this. There was a lot of back and forth when it came down to the TV shows. I think Kaleb got hit a lot with it kind of being taken down too early. It was taken down for Disney wanting to fully expand the MCU. Richard, unfortunately, you got hit a lot on them focusing. I didn't hear a lot of you countering what they were focusing on when it came to like the high school stuff, or that it was a lot of their character, the X-Men and the other characters made the show better. I do have to go with Cody. Cody pushed it a little bit further for me to why his show was a more solid and best for the MC, best for the Marvel. Next up, Andrea, where do you feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Cody on this one as well. I just feel like he made a lot of great points about his TV show compared to Richard and Caleb. And Richard was dinged about the redundancy, and he was not able to counter it well.
All right. So Cody's got 2, Caleb's got 1, Richard has none. So Richard, this is an important question for you to get it to a tiebreaker and see if we can move on next. So question 4. Which X-Men mutant would you most be afraid to lose control? And we're going to start with Cody. Cody, 90 seconds on the board. Which X-Men are you afraid of?
Sorry, just a quick question. Is it the MCU version or? I'm sorry. Is it the live action version?
No. It's any X-Men. It could be comic. It could be.
Everything. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
sorry. I was just not informed.
All right, so we're just gonna redo the question.
You're
and we'll redo it that way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're gonna go off to the next question. We got Cody with 2 points, Caleb 1. Richard, this is a big swing for you, man. Getting you into the tiebreaker round to move into the speed round. So question 4. Which X-Men mutant would you most be afraid of to lose control? And we're going to go to Cody first. Cody, which X-Men are you afraid of?
The X-Men that everybody should be afraid of. When I got second pick on this, and I really thought about Xavier, but then I remember the study of Nate Gray. Nate Gray is by far the most terrifying because, for the simple fact is, he's a good guy. But the bad news is, if he turns bad, no one can stop him. Not Xavier, not the man that bends metal, not anybody. Nate Gray can literally become a cosmic force of atoms. You can't destroy him. You can't mutilate. Nothing on Earth can take him out. And he is the child of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. That's how scary he is. He is literally parts in the comics where he literally moves the chemicals in a person's brain to remove cancer from their bodies. So yes, Nate Gray can give the world cancer if he would like. He can literally cure someone's nightmares from distances away. That's right. He can give everybody nightmares. And he can also, doesn't need Cerebro to be put into a thing to go gone. He can just eliminate life on Earth as we know it. If this man ever got mad, he is literally known as the X-Man. Not X-Men. He is the X-Man. And that means he doesn't need a team. He doesn't need a force. He needs himself. And everybody should be okay if he just stays happy. Because if he ever got pissed, everyone's gone.
Time. Woo! We are taking an Omega level. All right, Caleb, you're up next. Which X-Men are you afraid of?
Look, Chris Claremont, an X-Men writer, has actually gone on statements saying that Nate Gray is not invincible, that he can actually be beaten. And one of the people that he actually has stated has the power to beat him is the guy that I picked, and that is Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier is indeed the person that we have actually seen lose control. And he killed the entire population of the X-Men. In Logan, he actually shuts down the entirety of Las Vegas, and no one can help him because when he loses control, everyone is dying around him. Professor X is someone that can't be physically overpowered because his brain is overpowering to everyone around him. He is the most powerful telepath in the history of the Marvel universe. No one has ever been able to stop Professor X if he ever went bad. If Professor X ever went bad, or even in Logan when he just goes brain dead and everyone just gets shut down around him. Wolverine couldn't stop him. He had to have drugs that he had to get specially prescribed from somewhere around the world, and only Wolverine, who took so much physical damage, was able to temporarily stop him. And Professor X, to this day, is the only person to have eliminated the X-Men on film just using his mind. There's no one that can stop someone that can control your brain. When someone's in your brain, it is game over. And when the entire world's brain is shut down, good luck. No one can stop Professor X.
Time. Jeez. Nate Gray, Charles Xavier, Richard, you got a fighter in your hands. Tell me which X-Men mutant you are afraid of.
Clearly, the one X-Men you should be afraid of if he loses his power is Magneto. Magneto not only controls magnetic properties. There's a lot of things, magnetic properties he can control. If he loses power, he can literally blow up the Earth. He can fry human brains because, what's basically a brain? A human computer, which his magnetic properties does deal with. He also can control non-metallic objects, just not to degree as metallic objects. He can fry circuits, fry Megaton brains. And by the way, your professor dude can't touch me. I have the helmet on. He's the one person Magneto can defeat Professor X super easily. And your character's not even born yet, so if I destroy the Earth, Nate Gray's not going to even be worried about it. No, but Magneto literally can blow up the Earth. He can fry people with magnetic properties. He is the most dangerous mutant if he loses control of his powers.
All right, guys, 5 minutes on the board. I need to know which X-Men's going to hurt us the most.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to go right. I'm sorry, Kaleb. I have the first, and I'm going to teach you a lesson here. Nate Gray. So Magneto, I'm sorry, I love Magneto, but he's already lost control of his powers pretty much because he literally is the bad guy in the villains, and he does the bad things and uses metal to ruin people's lives. That's what he does. Nate Gray can just literally make the world around him a giant forest, and he has no powers. And then Nate Gray can just crush his little helmet, and we're done. We're done with Magneto, and I love Magneto. And Kaleb, he kind of has a point. You're saying the most powerful telepath. You're right. Somebody can come out and write and says somebody can defeat him. Because you know what? When you build an all-time Force Omega level, you have to say, well, somebody can. I know we gave him all these powers, but somebody can come along and be Professor X. Professor X is a good one. Guess what? His wheelchair is going to be up his ass in a heartbeat because Nate Gray, if he got mad, he would literally just fold him into it and end. Jean Grey, the mother of Nate Gray, obliterated Xavier. Obliterated him. So you're telling me the son of two powerful, not the pussy Cyclops that we see in X-Men, I mean the badass Cyclops that we see in the comics, has a child, and if he got mad, Xavier got blown apart, the world could split and be dust. He doesn't need a gauntlet. He just needs to think it.
Hi. I'm going to hit you with a little bit of comic lore. Professor X has beaten Nate Gray in comics multiple times. It's been a storyline. There's an actual storyline where Nate Gray goes evil and Professor X kills him. Thank you. Also, he uses Cyclops and Jean Grey to get him to put down his defenses, and you should shut the fuck up with your clapping because it's getting over my talking. But Nate Gray and Cyclops, they show up. He becomes a pussy, and Professor X blows up his brain. Welcome to the end of that comic issue. That's all that has to happen. Nate Gray is incredibly, if he lost control of his powers, susceptible to emotion, and that's his biggest downfall. But Magneto going bad is the plot of every X-Men movie ever made. He loses every time. Why? Because Magneto, when he loses control, it takes literally an X-Men team led by who? Professor X to shut him down. Professor X is the person, the link, that has beaten both of your guys multiple times and is the only person that when he loses control, the world's mutants die. He's the only person that we've seen obliterate.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there because you're taking too much time right now. Okay, Kaleb, Professor X has not beat Magneto. The X-Men, his team, has beaten Magneto.
By Professor X's powers, thank you.
Professor X can't do shit to Magneto. He has the helmet on.
Except he has. Have you not seen First Class? Professor X.
Yeah, when he has the helmet off because he had other assistants from the X-Men. Him himself, he can't do shit.
Knocks his helmet off.
Jean Grey is more. Jean Grey is more powerful. It's been stated over and over in the comics, the TV shows, even the movies that she is more powerful than Professor X. Magneto. The reason he keeps on losing because he doesn't have full access to his power. If he loses control of his powers, he will have full access. Whereas Nate Gray is a great choice. I admit that. However, Nate Gray is not born yet when my Magneto is at his prime. And I know that's a little cheapskate, but like I'm going because if he loses power, Lauren, Nate Gray's not even born, and even the fact Nate Gray has lost the majority of his powers in the comics, he's not as strong as he once was. So if he were to lose his powers, he would not. He will be able to be defeated. And Kaleb, Professor X, you just give him a pill, he's fine.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. You guys can keep saying the excuse that someone has beat him, someone has beat Xavier. You can't use that argument. I'm not picking the guy that's lost his powers at the middle. I'm picking the guy that's at his top prime. And guess what? If Magneto smashes his brain, that's interesting because he lives in electronic mode. He is literally can just be form of space. He doesn't go away. I understand what you can read and you can say that somebody has said this, but
1 minute.
Again, they say a lot of things. The problem with Xavier, the mom of my guy ruined your guy. So you're saying that, yes, you can take me out. Probably at some point you could, but because that's how comics work. But if my villain in world-life situations lost control, world as we know it, not written by a comic, by powers alone, divides the earth, ruins the universe, ends life as we know it because he can by us just thinking it. He can give, if he just wants to do it slow, he can give the whole world cancer. He's a douche if he wants to be bad. He has the powers. That's terrifying. Yours is just a guy in a wheelchair that takes a pill and can be calmed down.
Your exact argument applies to Professor X. If we take the actual physical properties of the world, Professor X blows everyone's brains up if he loses control. So your argument is a moot point. Your argument is a moot point. Cerebro doesn't even with Cerebro, it doesn't matter, with or without. He can destroy the entire world with his brain. Hey, I didn't talk over you. Shut the fuck up. Now, Richard, with Magneto, your problem is he's not that powerful. He's not that powerful. And the thing is, if he lost control, the X-Men beat him. It doesn't matter. That's what we've seen over and over and over for years. Over 70 years worth of comics and material at this point. Not even 70, but like 60, whatever it is. It's the 60s. It doesn't matter.
All right, time.
I get to close.
You do get to close. Kaleb, we're starting with you. Charles Xavier, 60 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
If Jean Grey was more powerful than my guy and is the mother of your guy, why didn't you pick Jean Grey? Like, honestly, because Professor X beaten your guy. There's no point in picking the guy that Professor X has beaten and then not picking the person that Professor X has maybe lost to in some iteration. You made a mistake there. The thing with Professor X is if he did lose control, the world is completely fucked because you can't stop someone that can get in your mind. You would be destroying yourself via his brain. The thing with Nate Gray is that Nate Gray gets too emotional and he gives up halfway through everything he does. If he lost control, all he has to do is see a picture of his mom and he curls up in a ball and cries about it for 3 months. And Magneto is literally a guy who holds metal. You take all the metal out of the way, he can't do shit. He's not that powerful. You put any superiority. The Avengers have beaten Magneto. Spider-Man has beaten Magneto alone. There is no point to saying Magneto, if he lost control, could destroy the Earth. The person who would beat any villain, every hero you put against is Professor X. He would kill everyone.
Time. All right, Richard. Magneto. Tell us why he's someone you should hear.
Magneto can actually absolutely destroy things. First of all, he can create black holes. He has withstand to be inside a black hole. He has lost control of his powers, and yes, there is iron in blood. So yeah, he could kill any someone. You take away the metal, it's fine. There's still iron in blood. There's still iron in the magnetic core. He can literally blow up the Earth. He can withstand. His force field has taken he has taken Dark Phoenix head on and survived. He has taken on Professor X and survived. And if he has a helmet, Professor X isn't going to do crap. Professor X has not done anything to defeat Magneto on his own. It's always been his team, him alone. If he has a helmet on, Professor X is not going to do anything. Nate Gray, the majority of his powers are already gone. He's very careless. He's very cocky. You can say all you want, mystical force. If Magneto blows up the Earth, Nate Gray's not even born, so he is not a factor. You're saying that may be a cheap way to say it, but Magneto blows up the Earth. Your guy doesn't exist, and Professor X can't do a damn thing about it.
All right, Cody. Finish out strong. Nate Gray.
Okay, it's very interesting that both my people picked the two big villains against each other. So guess what? Nate Gray's just going to put a bunch of Magneto helmets on the people that he's working with because apparently the most psychedelic person, the guy that has the best brain power, can't get through that. So you're worried about Nate Gray. Again, every comic has a writing that somebody gets defeated, and you're literally saying he's lost powers over time. I'm talking about the main guy, the big guy. So guess what? Sorry, Magneto. He just eliminates Metal. Metal doesn't exist anymore because he can do that. If he gets destroyed, guess what? He can form a new world. You're going with it. You can't live where he's going. That's the whole power of Nate Gray. And yes, Jean Grey did destroy him. So put Scott Summers and Jean Grey in the same person and literally can wreck shop. This isn't this isn't a battle royale. This isn't Professor X versus Magneto versus Nate Gray. This is Nate Gray, and you don't want his powers to go bad. And his powers are terrifying. He can torture people. He can give people man-eating diseases. He can just ruin people. You say he's emotional. Every comic book character is emotional. Professor X is emotional. That's how I got it blown up.
This is fun. Great job, everyone.
So glad that I don't got to go first this time. Andrea, we're going to go to you first. Make some sense of this for me.
This is actually the toughest out of all the rounds to judge, because they all have their merits. This actually has become a battle of metal versus blowing brains peoples out versus being obliterated and destroying the earth in the process. But I think I'm gonna have to go by the slimmest of margins to Cody, because he was able to really fully explain on the merit of on the powers that Nate Gray has and what he can actually he was able to show me different ways he in which Nate Gray could like um end the world basically. So I'm gonna have to go with Cody on this one.
Okay. Yours. Where are you feeling? What are you feeling on this one?
This one was kind of tough too. But I'd have to go. Well, I just want to point out, both every competitors had great arguments. Richard, it was his last round, like you said, to get his redemption. I think he fought hard. He had a tough pick. Everyone was on him this time. I don't know. Maybe my argument from the last round, I don't know, gave everyone a heads up. Maybe worry about Richard, and I think they did. They bashed him up, and my point's not going to Richard this time. And it's not going to Cody either. It's going to Kaleb, because Kaleb gave the strongest argument that didn't even get countered. He said, "My character, Professor X, destroyed both of your guys many times in the comics," and they didn't try to assume, yeah, but my guy bet more your Professor X and everything. No, they tried to go away from that point because they knew it was true. They knew Professor X was in fact more powerful, and he could defeat them and take them one-on-one anytime, even though the guy turns evil, and that's without the whole X-Men team and everything to help him out. So I think just Charles Xavier could fuck those up easily, just him against the other one, and I think that's why my points goes to Kaleb.
All right, your points going to Kaleb. One to Cody. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. So my point's going to go to Cody, due to the fact that he explained the real world devastation that what would happen if Nate Gray lost his powers. He also explained away how to block Kaleb's powers from actually affecting Nate Gray, and he also explained how to take out Magneto at the same time. So Cody does get the point for this round. So with that, Richard, you are eliminated. You don't have to leave, Richard. But if you wouldn't mind, just camera off and mute yourself.
Yep.
For me. All right, guys. So we're going to the speed round. The speed round works as such. There are 3 speed round questions. First to 4. The first 2 questions go 30 and 15. Like I said, we'll repeat it twice. First person to say their name, 3 seconds on the board. If you don't say it in that time, you'll be pushed to pick your pick last, but you will have to go first. So with that being said, which MCU story arc was the most useless for the series? Which MCU story arc was the most useless for the series?
I meant 3, the Mandarin story arc is what I was going with. But yes.
Okay. All right. Caleb's got that. Cody, you got time. I'll give you a 5 count. 5.
Ego.
Ego? All right. So, Caleb, your first 30 seconds on the clock when you're ready.
In the long run of the MCU, the Mandarin story arc didn't even benefit Tony Stark as a character or the wider MCU around him. All it did was give Tony Stark a adventure to have post Endgame, or not even Endgame, the first Avengers, that also gave him PTSD, which goes away very fast after this movie when we get to Age of Ultron. Iron Man 3, that whole story arc with the Mandarin contributes absolutely nothing to the wider MCU. It's completely brushed away and it is left to be pointless, whereas Ego actually affects Peter Quill on a deep emotional level by taking his father out of the equation, by affecting him on a personal level, and it ruins Peter Quill's entire emotional state with his father.
All right. Cody, tell us why Ego is the weakest link.
Ego's the weakest link because they forced the father storyline on the Peter Quill, and it doesn't actually pay off in the end. Right? It doesn't have any effect going forward. He doesn't mention in any of the following movies he lost his dad. That's it. He doesn't get anything. Mandarin was a Shane Black movie, and they literally just put him in there because it was a good villain for the time. They didn't want to use him as the big bad, so that was just a quick thing. Yes, there's parts of Iron Man 3 that doesn't work outright, but Guardians 3 changes Guardians 2 changes the entire thing. What Guardians 1 is all about, it just becomes a stand-up routine the entire movie.
All right, 15 seconds. Caleb, your rebuttal.
Avengers Infinity War, Peter says, I actually lost my father, and it's a big reason why I'm emotional in the way I am. And that's why he's so connected to Gamora going forward, because he needs Gamora. It's the last real connection he has as a person, whereas Tony Stark isn't even affected, nor the rest of the MCU affected by the Mandarin arc. Ego actually has a deep psychological effect on Peter Quill, which causes him to do the things he does in Infinity War.
Time. Cody, 15 seconds.
Infinity War is not a basis of that, because basically you don't have any time with it, and it doesn't have that emotional connection. Ego is Tony Stark. You actually see the broken person to see what he's fighting for later, and that has a big effect on everybody. That's the beautiful thing about Tony Stark. He has the struggles from that movie and carries on because he doesn't want to lose what he loves most in that. Ego is a forced on thing.
Time. All right. Iris, you're first. Tell me where you're feeling on this one.
Ouch. This one goes to Kaleb. He just he countered him by saying that even Peter Quill, he literally depended on Gamora because it was his last link, and I completely agree with that. I mean, the Mandarin. I haven't seen Iron Man 3, and I think that's the only film in the whole MCU I haven't seen, and I still understand everything perfectly because that film, I know the whole plot, I've heard it and everything, but it doesn't change anything throughout the whole universe.
I got you. All right. So I'm gonna make this short. The reason that Caleb's getting my point is because Cody, you started to attack why he started to need the Mandarin almost, but it wasn't enough to push over the fact that, you know, Ego was essential to Peter Quill's decision to attack Thanos, because he needed Gamora. So Caleb gets that, bumping him up to 2 points to 3. Speed round question number 2. Again, I'm going to read it twice. Say your name, and I'll give you 3 seconds on that. Best X-Men animated series storyline. Again, best X-Men animated series storyline.
Caleb.
Dark Phoenix.
Caleb, you went
Dark
first.
Phoenix.
Galactus.
All right, Caleb, you're up first. 30 seconds on the clock.
Cool thing about the X-Men storylines is the best ones is when the team actually is emotionally affected and the entire team has to come together with something that affects them personally. Nothing does that better than Dark Phoenix. With Dark Phoenix, one of their own is the villain. Nothing impacts that team more than having to face someone that they've grown, loved, and trusted over the last several seasons and have to eventually put her down. It is wrecking for Cyclops and Wolverine, who both love her. It's wrecking for Charles, who's losing a daughter. It's destroying for a team that is losing a sibling, a mother, a brother, a sister, one of their all-time best friends, whereas Galactus is just a sci-fi story that's generic to all other episodes.
Time. All right, Cody. 30 seconds on the clock.
Galactus is the first time that you actually see a force that the X-Men can't fully take on. They have to come together as a team better than ever before and come up with new ways to attack something they don't have. Dark Phoenix is a story. Yes, it's an intriguing thing, but in the X-Men series, they kind of move past it quite quick, and that's kind of sad for what the story entails with the entire storyline. The buildup is very fast on that one, and you need more time to develop. Galactus is this force that makes Charles Xavier and Cyclops go to the drawing board and have to come together as a team. The action is phenomenal through it. It's actually probably one of the best animated scenes of it.
All right, Kaleb, 15 seconds on the clock.
If you want to talk about build-up, Galactus just shows up and then they fight and lose, and that's kind of it. It's just another episode of the X-Men, and they move past it. It doesn't ever change them the way that Dark Phoenix does. Dark Phoenix takes away one of their own. It breaks the team fundamentally. Cyclops is never the same character again. Wolverine's never the same character again. Professor X is never the same character again. It destroys the X-Men to its core, and the team is completely changed.
Time. All right, Cody. Yep, Cody, you're up.
So, Kaleb, you need to watch X-Men the animated series because Galactus goes on for a long time. That's not the end of Galactus. X-Men, they do go past the very thing. Scott Summers learns, yes, he goes into a bad side, but that's not what the overall storyline. It's a rush-through force, and you lose her, and it doesn't have the gravitational pull like it does in the movie.
All right. So I'm going to go first. So Cody definitely had the uphill battle for this, and it's what actually swayed me to give him the point was the point that the animated series, as much as I love that series, it rushed what that could have been for the Dark Phoenix, and it pushed them to the limits with Galactus. So Cody does get the point for that one from me. Andrea, how are you feeling?
Actually, I feel the same way as you do. I think at the end of the day, Cody made a very compelling argument for the Galactus story arc, and I really thought that the Dark Phoenix was really rushed in the animated series. So I'm gonna have to give my point to Cody.
With that, Cody does take the match with 4-2-2. All right, so we're gonna jump into endgame interviews. Cody, you did win the match, and bracket 4, you're going to be going up against Mark in bracket 3. How do you feel?
Kaleb's my hardest opponent in debate ever. I have no fear of anybody else besides Tim that's on the other side of the bracket. Because I think Tim is a dominant force. We talk movies a lot. But the best thing is I got Kaleb back in my corner to help me prep. So now I think I'm going to be better because of it. He is literally the toughest fighter I have ever fought in these leagues. I've said this from day one. He is the closest to winning matches, but he just doesn't go his way. And I don't know. I honestly don't know why sometimes because I felt like 3 arguments today could have went to him. And Richard's no shove. It's just Richard's too nice. That's the biggest problem. Richard's too nice of a guy, and if he was a 0.1% of an asshole that me and Kaleb are, he could win definitely more matches. But he's too nice. So Kaleb, hats off to you again. I'd rather just do a tag team debate with you 7 times because I don't think anybody would ever beat us in a tag team debate because we are probably the meanest debaters in this league. And for the public watching, if you've never seen me and Kaleb on stream together, when we say fuck you to each other, it's pretty much I love you. So we're okay with that. So yeah, we're good. I'm excited. I haven't seen Mark's match. I don't know how he did. I don't know. I honestly don't know who Mark is. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But I haven't seen him. So I hope he gives me a good match. That's what I want.
And we're gonna go over to Kaleb. Kaleb, you definitely started fighting back. And what are your thoughts on today's match?
what can I expect? I'm facing like one of my best friends. Dude's a killer. Like if I'm Rocky Balboa, he's Apollo Creed. He's the greatest specimen of a fighter I've ever seen when it comes to debate. So yeah, it was a great match. Richard, again, you're just a really nice guy, and nice guys finish last when it comes to debate. I hate to say that, but that's just how it is. I think I did pretty good, but again, I was going up against Cody, and when you create a monster like Cody, it's hard to kill the monster. So.
I do know Mark. Okay.
All right, and before we jump into this, going over to Richard, how do you feel about the match? I know it didn't turn out how you want it, but how do you feel, man?
It was fun. I am too nice. That's my problem. I really am too nice. Because ideally, I should have had 3 and 4. Honestly, but but also I need to learn to talk better. I have my ideas in my head, just sometimes doesn't come out how I want to say it. That's one of the things I definitely got to work on. I had a blast though. I just wish I should have used my closing arguments a lot more than I did in my previous questions. But I'm looking forward to debuting in actual movie Battlegrounds in this whenever I have a chance. Redemption one day. And congratulations to Cody. Kaleb, you're great too. And I look forward to my next match whenever I have it.
All right, so we have a surprise guest from Bracket 3, the winner of Bracket 3, here to, I don't know, maybe talk smack, maybe, I don't know, do something. You're facing Cody, Mark. Mark, how are you feeling? And let's hear Cody's thoughts on this now.
I'm feeling pretty great after, I took some time after the match and went off and did my thing and took a second to reflect and have a victory sip.
All right, so it is you and Cody going up against each other as the right side of the bracket. Cody, how are you feeling?
I mean, I'm glad Mark's here. I always need a warm up before a championship. I don't know how he is as a fighter yet. I'll watch this match and see. But I'm 6-0 in Battleground. I am the Battleground champion. So just title Marvel on top of it, and I'm going to be okay. I think I would love to say that you have a shot, but I don't believe so. But if you surprise me, you surprise me. Again, this is exhibition, basically. I don't get a loss on my record, so I don't really care. But I'm hoping I destroy you.
All right, Mark, how do you feel about that?
He's got the best penmanship in the league, I'll tell you. But that's basically it.
I do, but, penmanship doesn't matter in this particular venture. I come to find out.
How did your match end?
Tell him how it ended.
It ended with a KO.
Against 2 other people? Yeah, that's right, because you put Kaleb in mine. I don't even know who was in your bracket. Again,
it doesn't matter. I'm in the bracket, and now I'm moving forward.
Hey, Kaleb.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? On my road to the championship, there was a fighter. I can't remember his name. Do you know his name that I KO'd?
I think his name was Chump, something like that. You KO'd him, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was like
Chance Ellison?
Yeah, that guy that was too busy for the Showdown to do this. Yeah,
Yeah, I KO'd him.
Yeah,
so
KO'd that guy.
I can add you to my list. I'm okay with that. Hey, you join the KO club. It's a pretty fun club. We get T-shirts. It's fun, but yours will be revoked.
Every now and then, if you're in that exclusive Patreon, I'll do a Skype video with you. I'll say hi to your friend for you. That's a $25 tier. You might not be rich enough to afford that one yet. That's kind of a elite tier there.
All right. I'm gonna break this love fest up because for people that just battled each other, they're too close for comfort on my taste. Anyway, from everybody here, from Cody, Richard, Kaleb, Andrea, Eros, myself, and our special guest Mark, we bid you guys see you next time. See you next month match.